the communities, the public may be watching. This is a bill that was introduced by Senator Pro Tem De Leon, SB 54, which would amend existing law that provides that when there's a reason to believe that a person who may not be a citizen of the United States is arrested for a violation of specific controlled substance, the arresting agency shall notify the appropriate agency of the United States having charge of the deportation matters. In addition, existing law provides that whenever an individual who is a victim of or witnessed a hate crime or otherwise could give evidence in a hate crime investigation is not charged or convicted with committing any crime.
This is about Senate Bill 54.
May not detain the individual exclusively for any actual or suspected immigration violations or report or turn the individual over to federal immigration authorities. SB 54 would alter and add new prohibitions upon state and local law enforcement using resources to investigate, detain, question, detect, or arrest persons for immigration enforcement purposes. As stated, Councilmember Nelson and Mayor Pro Tem Thompson have requested this item to be before. In the agenda item is the current amended SB 54 bill, which was amended about a week ago. And in addition to it is the Senate Rules Staff Committee's analysis of the bill. From that for you and the public's thing. Also tonight is Captain Joe Ward, who can talk about some of the local or law enforcement agencies' concerns that have been communicated to the senator and various other elected officials in Sacramento concerning this bill, and should you need clarification from that standpoint. And with that, I would suggest that we turn it over to one of the two council members for following.
Okay, can you get my signs?
Okay.
Or Deanne, just grab the sign. Grab my stuff. Just grab the paperwork.
Well, I asked, and I'll let
just grab
him
everything.
explain why he seconded, but I asked
And
for
the
this
sign.
to come before council because it has been getting a lot of attention. I've heard very strong opinions on both sides. My major concern is how it could affect us in our city and in the region.
Right.
And to find out enough about this to know whether it's something that we should take an official position on so we can inform our legislators of that position.
Thank you.
So Captain Ward, if you can give us some information regarding the safety aspects of it.
Well, SB 54 is opposed by the California Police Chiefs Association.
Yes.
And numerous sheriffs across California.
Yay.
Yeah.
The concern is that it will limit communication and cooperation with federal agencies. This may have an effect on violent crime investigations, major narcotic investigations, and homeland security investigations. So that's a concern. Some of the things that it does specifically is it limits the amount of information that local law enforcement can provide to federal authorities. It limits law enforcement from using resources in any type of investigation involving immigration, even if there's other crimes involved. So if there's an immigration violation and other crimes, we can't provide assistance. Federal agencies can't interview someone in one of our local jails without a warrant, even for a violent crime. So right now, if they wanted to come in and interview someone, we would cooperate. This would prohibit that from happening. It prohibits law enforcement from actually enforcing arrest warrants for immigration violations. And it jeopardizes some of our participation in violent crime task force, homeland security task force, and major narcotic task forces.
Well, I gather the police department would rather this did not pass. Sounds pretty strong.
Our police chief opposes it with the California.
Yeah!
Awesome.
Now we're also governed, we are now governed by a law that was passed in 2014, the Trust Act.
Which is more like the
And
Mistrust
could you
Act.
explain what that is?
The California Trust Act essentially prevents law enforcement from enforcing what's called an ICE detainer. When someone gets arrested, we're part of the LA County booking system. So if you get arrested, your fingerprints go into the system. What happens then is an ICE agent who actually may be in another state will review that information and he'll send a detainer to the police department. Now the problem with this is the detainer is not supported by probable cause or approved by a judge. So we have these detainers. So what happened in 2014 is the Trust Act was enacted which prohibited California from agencies from honoring ICE detainers. Now, there's a couple of exceptions on that. One would be violent crimes, one would be gang members, one would be firearm violations. But a couple other things happened in 2014. There was several federal court decisions that held that an ICE detainer violates the Fourth Amendment rights of someone arrested, and that we can't honor those detainers, or otherwise the city is liable for basically holding someone illegally. Now, if they have a detainer that's supported by a judge signing it, a judicial warrant, we would definitely honor those.
So we are
That's
already
outrageous.
mandated not to follow federal law to a certain extent.
Right. What happened was in 2014, police departments across the state, they got letters from the ACLU advising them of what happened on this law and that they'd be subject to liability. The California Peace Officers Association, County Council, there was 2 Attorney General opinions that if we continue to enforce ICE detainers, we would be in violation of their Fourth Amendment rights, and we could not do that.
They have no
so
rights.
during that time is when
They
most
have no
agencies
rights.
across
No,
California
they don't.
changed
They have no
their
rights.
policies
They're defined by wrong.
And the Trust Act and this SB 54, the purpose of both, as I understand it, is to not basically round up illegal aliens who are here in our country.
Thank you for saying it right.
To make them feel comfortable enough to come to us if a crime has been committed against them, that they won't be afraid of the police. What were we doing prior to these 2 bills, or the one potential bill and the other bill?
Local law enforcement has traditionally not enforced federal laws. We don't enforce immigration federal laws. We don't enforce IRS tax regulations. We don't enforce postal regulations. We don't have the expertise, the resources, or the training. So those are federal agencies enforce that laws. So we have not traditionally done that. Now there's some exceptions, but for the traditional ones, we have not enforced.
So this is tying our hands to a fairly great degree as far as just making sure that criminals are not staying in our country.
Well, in SB 54, if you take out the immigration aspect, what it does is it prevents us from assisting on violent crime investigations, major narcotic investigations, and homeland security investigations. So we could theoretically assist the federal government on investigations of those, but then if there's an immigration violation, it seems to tie our hands. Or if there was no immigration violation, we could assist.
Wow. Yep.
And we're not going to have it.
And just to reiterate this again, we were not rounding up people and sending them away to begin with. That was not the policy of our city.
This is
No, we were not.
totally.
Thank you. Thank you for those that information.
Yeah.
Okay, and Mendel, but if I could, just before, guys, you know, we all have opinions. We're here to have a conversation tonight,
Okay.
and I appreciate the emotion in this subject, but if we could try to keep things under control so we
Okay.
can have
Understand.
a conversation, I really appreciate it. Mendel?
Well, I think everything's been said, and I seconded this because I do feel like it's something that we need to talk about. I have heard, we have all heard from many folks that live here that there's rumors abounding, what's, a position, what are we going to do about this or, that, and so that's why that I gave my support for what we're going to be doing, and that is talking about it. I feel like the state is doing some things that we need to really think about hard, and we need to let our opinions really to be made known, because there's some difficult things that are occurring that I think could be really bad. And I think Captain Ward has explained the fact that in many things that they are doing or could be doing if this law is passed, that their hands are going to be tied.